Marlins game, the people, even in the fancy schmancy seats behind home plate there, everybody's on their cell phone and nobody's watching the action. Nobody.
Our friend George was asking if how much would they pay you? How much would they have to pay to go to the game? And I laughed. I said, "People used to go regularly. That
It's a good ballpark from viewing. Yes. Problem is crossing into Dade County. I mean, as soon as you cross into Dade County, the driving tactics are they alter completely. It's like Formula One versus NASCAR around from Broward to Dade.
Is it bad that I feel more comfortable there? Like I was there Saturday.
Yeah.
Just driving like a loon. And it's accepted.
I spent much time there, trust me.
Like I get into Broward and I have to like control myself. And it's not like Broward's perfect. It's still South Florida, but it's
no. I mean, the drivers are awful. Probably. I mean, you would hear this in every city. Oh, man, nobody drives.
No. Miami's great. Miami, you can do like the stuff you would get honked.
You don't know
at.
if the guy next to you is passed away and is at the wheel. Like literally Weekend at Bernie's.
Like you pull moves anywhere, even in Broward. Like you cut someone off the middle finger, and I'm like, dude.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even do anything to you. But if you drive in Miami like a lunatic, no one even notices. They're like, yeah, that's normal.
Very normal, yeah. I mean, the rules are suspended there of any kind of road etiquette. That's for sure.
They don't honk.
Tires are flying out of nowhere, even though they didn't come off any car. People are dropping stones from the bridges. Fuck.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
I'll never forget, Lubie. I was driving. I used to take the turnpike partially to get to 940 Windsor Studios there.
Yep.
And I'll never forget, I'm getting off the exit there, and I literally see this giant like cinder block coming towards my car. I guess there was construction on the other side. Somebody had triggered and been a springboard for this thing to go flying in the air. And brushed the car. It did cause like a minor dent to the hood, but somehow glanced off the windshield right on the driver's side and didn't do any damage.
Oh, Jesus.
But you were looking at like a meteor coming at you. I mean, it's not uncommon. It happens in other cities. It's not like it's unique to here, but it does seem like weird stuff happens on the roads here once you get to Dade County. All right, welcome to the show. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubitz. And we were talking on our morning briefing show on NoFilter.net and Believe Podcast Networks, and hopefully like many others, but we don't know where it goes anymore. It's going up in smoke, actually. Lubie is going to be leaving that show soon, but we're coming back with something. And I think it's going to be of a degenerate nature because people are going to be betting their brains out, believe it or not, Lubie, on the Olympic Games. Are you inclined to make bets on the Olympics?
Oh, God. Maybe
Would you bet these Olympic basketball games? I mean, what level of sickness is that?
I mean, you probably could make some scores if you go against USA right now. I mean, the odds still should be decent, and they've struggled in every game. They haven't. I mean, I forgot what they played 3 games ago when they pulled away in the second half, but it was tight all the way through until the second half, and every other game was tight until the end. It was under 10 points every single game. So I can see that. The other sports, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't even know outside of Ledecky who's swimming. Like who swims now? I have no idea.
No idea. No, they haven't really. Is it because we don't have Wide World of Sports anymore? That you have no idea who these Olympians are? I mean, I haven't seen a lot of pre-Olympic press on who the big stars are going to be to watch. I guess we'll find out and figure it out fairly quickly. But I'm looking at all these betting lines on the basketball games that are already being published. At least it was part of the slate today of things that you could bet on in the New York Post. As what do they call this thing? The Post line. Okay, I thought it was the morning line. And you have the U.S. is going to open up on Sunday as a 15-and-a-hook favorite over Serbia in their group play game. And I also in their group, right, is South Sudan, the team that gave them so much trouble. And I believe the other team is Puerto Rico in their group. Is that how it works? Group stages, or am I way off on that?
No, there's group.
Okay.
It's like that. It's like the soccer thing.
All right, so I mean, it's not going to be uncommon for people to bring up your favorite Olympic moments. Which what would be the number one? I mean, all-time signature Olympic moment, Lubie. That's an interesting proposition. a lot of people, I think, would gravitate towards the in the United States, of course,
Well,
towards the Miracle on Ice. Is that the number one thing that ever happened? Olympic history?
That's what people think. I was literally, my mom, I think, was pregnant with me when that happened. So
Is that right? So you were not
either
inclined
80
to
it was
have an
80
opinion on that?
it was 80, then no, I wasn't even, I was just a dream at 80.
Yeah. But you've seen highlights in the stories
Yes,
since.
yes.
It's been
I
well documented.
And as an American Olympic history, that is a number one for me. It's the Carrie Strug thing. I was in middle school, and my mom was she still is massively into the Olympics. Gymnastics was a huge thing. It sort of faded. I mean, Simone Biles brought it back, and then she struggled so much the last Olympics that it sort of didn't matter, even though I think they still did well as a team. But it was like the sport. I mean,
Bad
right
time to have a meltdown when you're on like the still rings or the balance beam if you're a woman, right?
That's not the dream.
Women don't do the still rings because it's impossible to conceive of. So somebody put a picture on Facebook the other day of like a gym class where all the, in my case, it was all the Jewish kids who were trying to climb to the ceiling on a rope. What the fuck were the odds of anybody being able to successfully do that? I think Jack Krauser, who became a fabled innovator in the dental field later on, was the only guy I remember among my friends that could actually, scale that rope and go up there. But still rings, forget it. Did they ever break out the apparatus when you were in gym class in school, Lubie? And
No.
actually have you like try to do something,
We
even
do.
mount on the still rings, which I
never
could
had that.
not do.
I never had to climb. My mom, when I was little, we did gymnastics. My brother and sister liked it. I was scared to death. I didn't want to walk across a balance beam. I didn't want to pommel horse or any of that crap. Was never doing that. But in gym now, where I see in movies and TV shows like back in the 60s, where they'd make everyone would ooh and ah or make fun of you and throw crap at you as you would try and climb a rope, and no one ever could do it, so everyone make fun of everyone.
You would get like 2 moves up and then you'd start trembling.
We never did that. Like they never made us do that.
Yeah, I was horrible at all the gymnastic events. I really was. Even though I considered myself, I guess I was more of a game player than an athlete. And is that possible? That's how they describe the fat guy that's in the corner, right? But yeah, I mean, the pommel horse, no good on that, Lubie. I'd pop a hamstring just thinking about it right now. Still rings, forget about it. That was impossible. And there were guys that could do the Iron Cross. It seems like I'm, anti-Semitic here, but none of the Jewish kids were doing the Iron Cross. You know what I think? You hang like that.
That's the toughest thing. Like the dude just stand there.
Forget about that.
Like shaking.
I would quickly, write out a medical and sign my mother's signature to it. Which since I had been forging it since the 3rd grade, they thought it was her signature. I wonder if they were. I mean, if they ever had brought all those notes to my mother, you think she would have vouched for me and just said, "Oh yeah, I wrote those."
Was nice. Like she was a tough lady, but she from your stories, she sort
believed in honesty and integrity, though. Which
she sort of got who you were. It feels like.
No, she never did. I mean, she went to her grave. Not.
I know really, she gave you crap, but I thought she like. Okay, so
she thought I was the sickest degenerate gambler, and that I ruined my entire life and career by being a scumbag degenerate. And then I was jeopardizing the future of my son and his children, my grandchildren, her great grandchildren. Disgrace is how she thought of me. No, she had thought of me in fond terms, I think. But you know what? This is something that you worry about as you get older, which I am. And you don't want to become embittered, Lubie. That would be, I think that would be worse than being in poor health. I don't know. How do you feel about that? You're too young to have to take this into consideration.
For what? What are you talking about?
Well, when you become embittered as an old person, everything is negative, everything is bad. You're sour about everything. You know what? The neighbor, coughs, and you're like, "Oh my god, I got the fucking plague."
But not everyone, because your dad wasn't like that.
So no, he was very cool. Yeah,
your dad went out like the day before. Your dad called. I remember he was about to give you shit the day before.
Yeah, he did. He told me not to bother coming to the hospital the day that he passed away, unfortunately, because he figured he was getting out that day. He was always optimistic.
Getting out. Yeah, your dad was great. So that's the thing. I hope, because you don't have to go that route. Like a lot of people do, but you don't have to. Like I would love to do the not bitter. Like I've been half bitter my entire life. I'd rather not be bitter. Like, I'd rather finally just let it go and just enjoy the whatever the hell is left.
You have to remind yourself that it's a good thing that you're alive, right? You need to do that. Although you may want to bury yourself after betting on the Olympic Games, because we have to give. Are we obligated? Is there some kind of moral or ethical obligation here on these kind of shows, Libby, to forewarn people about betting on the Olympic Games?
Yes, 100%. Because that's the thing is, since the last summer games, I mean, the winter games, we don't really get that into.
Yeah.
America's not great at the winter games. But the summer is where we, like Sarni was saying, our over-under at medals is like 100 and golds is like 40, or I don't know. It's like some ludicrous number because we usually kick ass at the summer games. Yes. There hasn't really been a summer games. It's what, 4 years, right? Exactly. Gambling was a different world 4 years ago. And the last 4 years is when it's really exploded.
I don't even remember thinking about betting on the Olympic Games.
Never. But you can't tell me that's not going to be a thing now. Baseball is the only thing going on. There's all these apps now. People of all ages.
They're all over it.
Like, yes, I think it would be smart to warn people.
Well, I mean, only because of the history of corruption and the levels of cheating that would be mind-boggling by any standard, including, I mean, stuff. They have bizarre stuff that comes out of the Olympic Games in terms of controversy and corruption. And I mean, did they ever get to the bottom of how that Korean beat Roy Jones Jr. for the gold medal?
You've always talked about that. I think it's funny that he was being stretched.
Literally, I mean, if you talk to boxing fans and boxing historians, my good friend Hank Kaplan, may he rest in peace, who was one of the first guys I met when I came to Miami, tremendous boxing historian. I mean, this guy had every thing, a piece of, history and articles and this and that, and he knew it pretty cold for a long period of time. He would be the first to that was the worst decision in boxing history. Almost anybody, I mean, you don't necessarily always think of it because it wasn't in a professional fight, but I mean, the atrocity of Roy Jones Jr. losing that fight to a guy he literally, he beat the shit out of this guy, Louie.
Yeah, I mean but that's not only boxing, but Olympic boxing, the two worlds combine. So
yes, I mean, evil and corruption. That's a nice quinella, right? They have evil and corruption, and you're going to be betting on this shit, people. So think about that. The 72 game between the USSR and the United States, which was that the game that I guess it came later that they finally flipped the switch and said enough of this bullshit, right? I mean, these Russians are playing 12 months a year and they're in professional leagues, and we're trying to go with this bullshit cloak of amateurism for what? To protect college football and basketball?
Did they do it before the Dream Team? I know the Dream Team was a big deal, but I remember they had.
What was the original Dream Team? I want to say like 80s sometime.
92 was the original.
Oh, 92. Okay.
Remember, Magic had just announced HIV, and
then this didn't necessarily serve as a precedent for bringing together.
Jordan was in it when he was younger, but you would get, I guess, what was it? You were getting college kids before they went pro. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
I think 92 was real because I'm trying to think of before 92 if you got. I don't think you got pros until 92.
No, you didn't have pro players in there. That's when they said, "Hey, fuck this. I mean, enough of this crap."
Screw it.
Right? And that's why the Miracle on Ice was such an astonishing accomplishment because the Russian hockey team was a team, and had been drilled to be that from the time they were little kids.
Yes.
They were playing together, and they were playing, in escalating levels. And meanwhile, you got a bunch of college guys where college hockey wasn't even that well. People didn't pay much attention to it at all, much like they don't today, unfortunately. But still, at least it's a little more in the spotlight, right? You've heard of the Frozen Four now, whereas back then, who knew anything about college hockey? There were a couple of schools that were prominent, but it seemed like there were only a couple of schools that played, right?
Hey,
University of Miami have a hockey team? No.
They don't even have soccer.
Imagine that. That would be a cool thing if we were like top notch in hockey, much like we are Stanley Cup champions here in South Florida. But so that was the whole thing. But in this case, this was just outright. I mean, you couldn't have higher levels of corruption that were in play with the officiating that took place in that game, which eventually there was no way that the Russians could lose because they were going to get the ball back until they won.
They kept giving them the ball.
Here it is again. Yeah, for absolutely no reason, right? All of a sudden, a guy takes 2 dribbles up the court, a whistle would blow. I'm double dribble. That's it. The fuck are you talking about?
It was like bad, yeah.
Such ugliness. It really was. But and that was one thing. And now you're betting into this. And then, of course, my favorite. And I mean, will she be in the opening ceremonies for the French team? The French judge, Marie Rain Laguna. Is that how you say it? It's Gougne. Laguna.
I didn't remember that. I never remembered the name of the judge.
I had to look it up. I mean, I did. I'm not going to lie to you, Lubie. That was one of the first things. Only I would be trying to find in our Olympic preview the name of the French judge.
Criminal judge.
It's criminal. Who? I mean, I forget the exact scenario. Was it a Russian that she gave like some ridiculous?
Yeah, it was Russian. It was a Russian team. It wasn't a Russian couple that wasn't good.
They had fallen on the ice. The guy had cut his finger off trying to do a triple sow cow.
It was like clear that they lost and somehow they won.
There's blood all over the ice, and she gives him like a 6.0, whatever the is that the highest score in skating? I have to refresh my skating protocols there. But yeah, and I don't know. Is there a U.S. skater that's of great significance, Lubie? Do we know anything about that? I'm surprised how few Olympic preview stories I've seen. Seeing as, and you're telling me that the games, some competitions get underway today, like they break out the.
Sarni said they start the openings. I mean, which we all know by now is Friday, and today is when they start.
Ping pong starts or something. They
always do. They always start some random events. Yeah. Like the 2 days or 3 days before.
It's kind of like the Academy Awards for the weenie categories that are such weenie categories. They're too embarrassed to put them on TV. So they tell, well, in a previous ceremony. So yeah, some of the competition gets underway today. What will be the focus of your attention, if any, Mike Lubie Lubitz, in the upcoming Olympic Games? The basketball team, did they do that deliberately just to create and stimulate some interest in what otherwise you would have figured would be a series of blowouts? I mean, look at the group they're in. Serbia, okay, they have a couple of guys that are, including the MVP there, Nikola Jokic, who is a fabulous player. And is that guy Jovic from the Heat? Is he playing for the Serbian team?
Yes, he's on Serbia. Because a bunch of Heat people were tweeting the other day, if you want to see Jovic in action, he's playing for Serbia now.
Okay, so he gives them something because maybe they turn him loose a little bit more. He started to show signs that, I mean, people were talking of him in very high praise coming out of what was it, 2 years ago, Summer League, Lubie?
Last year's Summer League, he showed signs, and then he was vastly better. Like last year, remember, at the end of the year, he was a starter next to Bam, and he was actually playing good basketball, and he was stemming the tide on a lot of their injuries. So, yeah, and he's really good in international play. Like he actually, in the FIBA bull crap, he did a really good job. What was it, last year or the year before? That was in the FIBA thing. He played really well. So,
all right, so he has possibilities, but it's not deep enough to contend with. I mean, you're talking about what? LeBron, Anthony Davis, just those two alone. You would think should be able to carry a team, and then you've got every other superstar. Steph Curry is a scrub on this team. Are you kidding me?
Yes, Anthony Edwards is on this team. Bam
out of bio. I mean, a tough MF in the paint.
You would think the team's loaded. Booker, your guy Booker.
Devin Booker. Chuck and Durant.
Yeah, the team's
although he hasn't played, but nonetheless, just the fact that you got this caliber of player all throughout the roster. How could they fucking lose, Lubie? It's impossible.
I think they hammer people. I think they were screwing around, and I think their group only helps them. Who are the three Celtics? I know they have White and Tatum. There's a third Celtic.
All right, so I mean, is that going to be the biggest focal point though of the games? Now you have the women's team, and without Caitlin Clark, I think that was a big swing and a miss. Are you still of that belief? There was some conversation that popped up that maybe they would find a way to sneak her in there at the end because supposedly Taurasi might have some injury, and then they would they have hurt themselves any by putting this girl on a team? Are you kidding me?
No. I mean, it made sense to put her on the team, but
she is a great passer. I mean, you have to say that, Lubie. You don't have to say it. You could tell me she sucks.
I heard she's not a great player. She's reminded us of Trae Young, and that wasn't. hating on her. Trae Young in college was really led the country in assists and scoring, very much like Caitlin Clark. So that's I never said she wasn't good. I didn't think she would take the league by storm. I thought about what she's doing. She's a good player. She'll have her moments, and they'll also get after her, which is literally what we've seen. I didn't know what to think about Caitlin Clark. I never really watched her, and even at the end of it, I watched like that last half. That was a disaster. What was it versus UConn? I didn't really watch anything else of her. So
I saw quite a few of her games last year.
100% should have been there. I mean, whatever. Who knows? They're weird.
Well, I mean, just in terms of attention, because in all honesty, I mean, we saw they played the WNBA All-Stars, who were the WNBA All-Stars without the top stars who were supposedly on this USA team, correct? Isn't it all comprised of WNBA players, essentially?
Yeah.
The USA women's team?
Oh, yeah. USA is
the
whole league. That league's mostly American.
Okay. So, they're going out there without, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are players on there that are great or whatever that deserve all the respect in the world, but they're going out there without a whole lot of identity, no? Without Caitlin Clark being on the team. And maybe they didn't want to concede that she is now the face of women's basketball on all levels, but that's the way it is. I'm sorry, people. It's kind of like this whole thing with Kamala and your boy Joe. Where, I mean, she's the new face. That's it.
Yes.
And wow, I mean, was that real? What survey did you get that from, Lubie, where you had Harris leading in the
that was polls? The two first polls were released yesterday. The Ipsos, I think, ABC poll was released.
Was this a poll conducted by like Larry the Leaper? I mean, what kind of poll was this?
No, it's a highly credible poll. It had her up 2, and then if you add RFK, which is what we've been telling people, RFK takes away from Trump. He doesn't take away from Biden. Nothing.
Yeah, because he's a bigger nutbag than Trump.
Nothing he's pushing is Democratic. So if you add him, then Harris was up 4. Now there was another poll where Harris was down 2.
Okay.
So both are within the margin of error, which some polls did not have that for Biden. She's within the margin of error, I think, of every poll right now.
This is affirmed in Allidar, man. I mean, it's going to be close.
And it feels like she's pulling out front because the Republicans don't know what to do with her.
Yeah, we had a rider change at the gate. I mean,
they don't know what to do with her. The only thing they can go after is her being a black woman, and that's the thing that would literally lose. They're trying to get women.
That whole DEI thing.
That would lose women.
Yeah, why not just use the N-word then?
Yeah, no, it's what they're doing, and black people and women are like, yeah, it might have worked with the old man. It's not working.
Don't mess with women, man. They start turning out in numbers. It's all over for this guy.
That's the truth.
All right, we have Tony Segreto coming up. He's covered many Olympics. I don't know. I mean, Olympic moments are always just I mean, laced with drama, and there's a lot of stuff. I don't know if I'll be able to get to that point where we appreciate it on that level. We'll see. Because I was a big fan of the swimming events. I don't know. I like that. Track and field. Love track and field.
So love track and field. Yep.
Yeah. The gymnastics is cool because of the fact that, I mean, you can't even conceive of doing this. So, you would, watch some of these guys. The guy also that stands out, and I look this up every 4 years, Lubie, and I failed to do it again. But the Japanese guy that was on the still rings and he had the broken leg. And he had to, you knew he had to stick a landing, much like Kerry Strug, but even more dramatic because he's way up in the air with a broken leg. And I think it was in the 70s this guy did this. And he does his iron cross and he flips out of it. And then he does like a triple somersault and boom, lands on this broken leg. And like you described so eloquently and illustratively, you could see the pain written all over his face. And he's standing there trembling, and he can't take even a single fucking step. If he farts, they're going to deduct half a point. And he hangs on and wins, and it was unbelievable. Forget the guy's name, but we should pay homage to him for sure. All right, we're gonna come back with Tony Segreto, and of course that's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. And Tony's already on deck here. Let's take a look. I need to look at somebody that is illustrative of youth and enthusiasm. Tony's. You're looking better and better, kid. I don't know what you're doing up there. What are you, just eating fruits and vegetables? Is that it? What's happening?
I wish.
Oh, you look great.
Hi, Louie. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Mr. Segreto. How you doing?
It's fine and dandy. And Mr. DeForest?
Oh, feeling good. You know what? Everything is going, it seems like, in the right direction, or so we hope. And then I'm excited. We're trying to. It's a perfect time to bring you into the show because we were talking about the Olympics, and you want to kind of get a little juiced up for that. I know your daughter is going to be involved in the broadcast, which is great.
She's
And
there.
Nice.
Where it used to be like a compact package, like for a couple of hours at night with Bob Costas or whomever hosting. Now it's on 17 different channels, many of which I don't even know if I get. So we'll see. But a lot of different stuff. So we'll come back with Tony Segreto. A little old school. Tony was there when Richard Jewell was being tracked down. That thing in Atlanta. That was kind of wild to cover that story. And we'll come back with Tony Segreto, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. In a moment. Now that.
The time.
He's looking good, isn't he, Lubie? I mean, he's really looking good. Wow, it's 8:28.
Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
All right, welcome back to the show. We got a little old school working here with the great Tony Segreto, iconic broadcaster, and covered many Olympic games. Mike Lubitz is with us. How many times were you assigned to go cover Olympic games, Tony, in your long, illustrious career, both as a sports and news reporter?
Two.
Okay.
I was in LA for the 83 games.
Okay.
84 games.
84, yeah.
84 games. And in Atlanta for 96. And, you mentioned Richard Jewell. And we did our shows, and I did all the affiliates around the country for NBC.
Wow.
In a tower that was manned by Richard Jewell.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, oh, wow. Okay. Well, he didn't do it, right? I mean,
no. So we
nothing to
saw
do with
him every single day. We had conversations with him. We traded pins with him. We gave him our sandwiches. Just a great guy.
Yeah.
And when they said he did it, wow.
That's crazy.
And we traced steps, and we tried to just exonerate him as best as we could, but the evidence was mounting greatly, and then they finally found out that he didn't do it. But that was just one of many stories that we cover, that we did for the Olympics that still resonate today.
I can't help but think that poor schmuck, I mean, what he went through. And then on top of that, I couldn't tell you, did they ever find who was responsible for this bombing of the Olympic Games that took place in Atlanta?
Mm-mm.
Never did. Right. Okay. Nope. So, and you still think of Richard Jewell as being the guy, which
we still do.
Yeah. Poor guy. I mean, he definitely, you would have to say, who can you sue? That's what you're thinking. Who can you sue? I mean, they definitely screwed this guy over for life.
Yeah, really
unbelievable.
Bad.
All right, so I mean, what's your? I mean, it's interesting. I think I know which way you're going to lean on this one, Tony. That you would be a much bigger fan of some of the dramatic and thrilling moments than you would be of analyzing the various forms of corruption that we've seen evolve from the Olympic Games. But I mean, it's interesting on both sides, is it not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's interesting on both sides, but you still got to take the sport and the pure sport of it for what it is. I mean, LeBron James and Coco Gauff are carrying the flags.
I
And,
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
you know, say what you want. LeBron has won, I don't know how many championships and on and on and on. This has got to be, he's going to have chills and more chills on top of those chills to be carrying the flag for the United States. And, nothing can be said for that. And there's those moments that you got to just shake your head and go, thank you for this moment, because, there's too much corruption. There's too much corruption.
Oh, with the Olympics.
I don't know what's on the level in the Olympics. We were just talking about that on one of our other shows. That if you're going to be betting on this shit, I mean, you better tread lightly. Oh well, I guess we introduced that here too, because no, I mean, how do you know what's on a level? I mean, you just don't. It used to be even a greater disparity, because you had to take into account that the other countries were essentially fielding professional teams that had been groomed from a very young age to do exactly what they were doing, and we were throwing a bunch of guys out there.
That's what led to us, going professional, and because we're just getting thumped by professionals, and
it got ugly. We get tired of losing. Once you get tired of losing, that's when you're ready to do something radical and dramatic about it.
Was the first college kid to join the fray. He was. It was the first year the dream team got together, and that dream team will be forever known as the team that everyone tries to emulate. And Christian Laettner was everybody.
He was the token college player they put on there.
Token college player.
Yeah.
He was the token college player.
Yeah, I do remember that. It was kind of weird that they had to have a college player, or that they felt compelled to do so, whether it was by any kind of mandate or not. But I enjoyed that, because after losing, then you saw this team just absolutely squash. And you had to be sort of a fan of watching the clubbing of seals to watch this team play the other teams. But I don't mind, seeing my country blow everybody off the face of the planet after they've been beating their chest that, we caught up with you. But Tony, I mean, in your lifetime, did you ever think that you would be acknowledging that maybe the rest of the world has caught up with the United States in basketball? I mean, what the hell is going on out there in these games building up to the Olympics?
I don't know, but it is really, this club, this team that's going over there is really got its hands full.
Yeah,
really, really got its hands full.
How could that be, Tony? I'm really having difficulty grasping a hold of this whole idea that these guys should be even slightly threatened in any of their games.
Because about a third of the players in the NBA are from different countries.
Okay, but when we were talking about this earlier, I mean, you're looking at just an up and down all-star roster of possible all-time greats that are on the United States team. And the other teams may have a guy like a Jokic, who's an MVP, and clearly, a lot of people feel the best player in the NBA, but they don't have anywhere near the depth to compete.
No, but this team may actually run the table, but they Yugoslavia, Lithuania, Russia, you could go down the list, and they got great players that compete every day. The players on the international teams compete internationally.
Well,
we stay in the States.
That's always been the issue for the Americans, is we throw our great players together, so eventually they win, but these other teams have gotten better, and they play year-round every year together where they have a head start. Eventually, America, as we've seen, they've won 5 golds in a row. Like, eventually they find a way to win, but they're not blowing teams out like they used to, because these teams do have NBA players. They do have NBA-level coaches. So they've stemmed the title out. I still think eventually in the Olympics, they'll do what they're supposed to do. If you look at the rosters, it's not comparable. what America has and what these other teams have, but they are able to keep it close early on in the Olympics, and that usually is what happens. So it makes it interesting. And from a gambling perspective, like I wouldn't go all in on the US. You're going to see double-digit spreads. Like these teams are going to keep it close, at least early on. I mean, I feel like USA will finally get their footing, and you'll see them start to pull away. But in these group stages where they look at a team like South Sudan, like they're going to take these teams lightly. You saw it in the contest to get ready. They took all these teams super lightly, and I think they'll do that again in the group stage. It's when they get out of the group stages when I think they'll put their pedal to the metal and they'll start.
Who's the starting five going to be?
It's been Tatum, Holiday, LeBron, Curry, and AD. I think that's what it's been. Or they'll force in Embiid, but Embiid's been horrendous. It's just been bad. Durant hasn't been playing. Like that's a problem too. A lot of these guys are getting older and they don't have what they did before, but they're still low. I mean, I don't know. I think once they get into the Olympics and they get out of group stage, they're just going to house teams.
Yeah.
Because they'll know the gold's there.
I'm looking forward to, I hate to say it because I'm being self-serving here, but I'm looking forward to the gymnastics.
Okay. Is that what your daughter's doing?
Yeah, my daughter's doing that. And
so I guess you got Simone Biles back on the team. That'll be a big story.
You got the whole team, and I just excited to see that. I'm excited.
Were you any good at gymnastics, Tony? We were saying earlier that we all used to panic. All the Jewish kids in my school when they brought out the gymnastics apparatus, and we knew we were going to have a whole gym class, so like the pommel horse and the still rings. I couldn't even get up on the still rings. I mean, that was impossible.
No.
Arms would be trembling from the time you did the mount. The guy would help you up, and then you'd be like this, and then the things would spread.
Those kids and those people, those young adults, you name it, they're super athletes. They are super athletes because the strength that. Oops, we lost Lubie.
We lost Lubie, but it's okay. We can keep going. I think we're all right here, Tony. I believe we're still going. Lubie's been having issues of late where he drops out for a short period of time. So what were you saying? I mean, look at the builds on these guys. I mean, didn't you always admire that? You were thinking, shoot, I would love to be built like that.
My God, they don't have an ounce of fat on them.
My God, and upper body strength, unbelievable.
Just amazing, just amazing.
What about parallel bars? Are you any good in the parallel bars? That was a rough one.
I couldn't do anything for
the swing and then do the straddle. That was about it. But then you couldn't get your legs back in there. And that was it. You would have to have somebody assist you off of the parallel bars. Could you do dips, Tony? That's when you see guys at the gym when they do those dips. They're at the end of the parallel bars, and they kind of end up doing like push-ups off it. You could do that? Wow, I was terrible at that. I don't know. Lubie has a strong upper body. He might have been able to. Could you do dips? Remember doing dips?
Dips in a gym I can do. Nothing gymnastics. Like anything that had gymnastics involved, I hated it with a passion.
Gymnastics, I marvel at. I marvel at them.
All right. So, what are some of the? I have some signature things that I do remember distinctly watching when I was into, viewing Olympic games in the past. Going way back, I was talking about this earlier today on our other show. I remember this Ethiopian marathon guy named Baby Bakila, who just checked out the other day. He won back-to-back gold medals in the marathon, 1960 and 1964, Rome and Tokyo. And I remember he just annihilated the field. But, at 60, I was 9 years old. It was inconceivable that somebody, and he ran barefoot on top of that, that somebody could run 26 fucking miles, Tony. I mean, and now everybody, I'm sure there's a Segreto that probably was in a marathon somewhere. No? Well, maybe your wife or whatever. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, marathon, no big fucking deal. You're like, how is that possible? It was inconceivable. And I had such admiration for this guy that he could do this in back-to-back Olympic games.
It's still inconceivable to me.
Yeah, 26 miles.
First of all, why do they do it?
Back in the day, I guess, it was out of necessity that some guy had to run and deliver a spear so that they could stave off an attack of lions. And he ran the 26 miles, and he even tacked on 385 yards, not even an even amount of distance.
Here's a spear. Will you deliver it to?
Well,
to
whatever.
this
I don't know, some
guy?"
kind of message or something. There's a story behind it, but I might be getting confused as to all of the exact details. But I remember that. I remember Bruce Jenner. I was you
Yeah,
couldn't help
remember
but become a
Bruce Jenner?
fan of Bruce Jenner.
You know,
And then when he won, I don't think he had to. I'm not sure that he had to win the 1500-meter part of it. I think he just had to be standing at the end. And so he was kind of doing a victory lap as he was doing this, and it was great. I mean, I thought, wow, the decathlon was emblematic of being the world's greatest athlete, was it not?
it's a shame. It's a shame. It's a damn shame. And underline it, cross it, do whatever you have to do. It's a shame that we don't recognize Bruce Jenner as the greatest athlete ever, and we look at him as a joke now.
I don't know if he's considered a joke, but
You don't hear anyone talk about Caitlin Rowan.
yeah, I mean, you don't remember that was a guy that literally, I mean, in terms
He
of
was- he was a-
physique,
he was
you were
great.
thinking, I want to look like this guy. He was handsome. He had charisma. And then on top of that, I mean, yeah, he's throwing the javelin and the shot put. I don't know, the decathlon, shot put in the decathlon. Not
Yeah.
sure, Tony. I mean, they have a couple of field events that are incongruous with being able to like run a 100-meter dash. And he and what else is in there? Like the long jump, isn't that part of the decathlon?
Long jump, yeah, long jump. The javelin.
Those guys too that won gold in the decathlon and in that era and Olympics. Within 20 years around that. I mean, we're celebrated internationally. They really did get a tremendous amount of acclaim.
He was the most decorated Olympian of our time back then. I mean, he was so decorated. He was on every show. He was on. He
was in a lot of commercials. I mean, the first thing you go right to Wheaties.
Yeah, he saw a ton of Wheaties. Brian Schwartz has said.
Yeah. All right. So what is? I mean, are there things that stand out? I mean, usually, everybody says the number one thing would have been maybe the Miracle on Ice or any Winter Games. But what stands out to Tony Segreto? I mean, what do you remember that left an indelible impression with you?
Well, besides the bomb.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'm talking about in the field of play.
That was just so overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
That we left. Just bear with me. That we left our site no longer than 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and a bomb went off.
Oh wow! So you literally dodged a bullet there, Tony Segreto.
Dodged a bullet, and that just resonates in my mind.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of the Olympics. That's the first.
No, sorry to interrupt, but were you in the stadium when Ali lit the torch there?
Oh yeah,
you were. Okay, now that'd be something.
To see him light the torch, and he was such an iconic figure. He even as a shell of a man that he was still Ali, and I think something like 10 people knew who the lighter of the cauldron would be.
Yeah,
and he that moment was memorable as any can be. As to this day, I get chills.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I was a huge Ali fan, as you might imagine, and you're right. He was still sharp, even as the sort of, I guess you would call it, the debilitating effects of Parkinson's were taking more and more control of his physical presence. But he still had it going on upstairs. Yeah, and he was great, man. He was, talking about iconic figures. I mean, the most internationally well-known athlete of all time. Yet you would have to think, with apologies to Michael Jordan and many other deserving people. So I mean, do you remember in any sort of standout performance? I was really enthralled, as you would imagine, by the '76 Olympic boxing team, and then we got to follow many of those fighters after their Olympic glory. Of course, everybody was following the career of Sugar Ray Leonard, and the Spinks brothers came into prominence. Our
Mark
good friend Howard
Spitz,
Davis. Yeah, so I mean, anything that stands out to you, Tony?
Mark Spitz was one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Spit. Yeah, good for you.
He was just amazing. Mary Lou Retton, as this man said, Brian Schwartz said a minute ago, she stood out. I can't think of one that that really stood out among the rest, because they were all so iconic. They were all so wonderful. You lived in the moment, and I remember that we took swimmers up to our site in LA, and we were atop the tower, and they were great. They were great. Greg Louganis, another one.
Yeah, Louganis, one of my favorites of all time.
He was amazing, and we became friends afterwards. And
yes, Ron O'Brien, of course, is coach here at the Fort Lauderdale Hall of Fame Swimming Club. And that was always great to go down there, and you're watching like Louganis practicing, and then there would be, 3 other Olympic medalists also diving, men and women.
You wish you could do it, and you know what, a guy made an impact when you want to beat him. When you're at the pool with your parents or with your friends, and you dive in and you go, Greg Louganis.
Oh, Louganis! I mean, at the Acapulco Cliffs, I'll never forget when he was on Wide World of Sports, and he'd be smoking these Mexicans who had been doing it their entire life. He'd do like some kind of bizarre spinning 3.5 twist somersault into like a cup of water from 500 feet above. You're like, holy shit, this guy's got some balls, man.
There was a little cup of water. Like
you had to time the tide. That's what they always said. I remember the commentators always saying, well, they're going to have to time the tide perfectly. And I'm thinking, I want no part of this, man. It was like a prelude to the X Games where, they were determined to have somebody die doing one of these events. But
Lubie, do you think you could do it?
No. I'm not good at diving. I'm not good at any of that.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Balanced sports and Jewish people, that kind of athleticism. We don't really have. I mean, do you see the Israeli diving team doing it?
The Italian diving team, maybe.
Italians, no, they got that kind of panache where they could do that sort of thing. I mean, they're sort of a swashbuckling a lot, for sure. All right, what about the corruption side? Now, what are your favorite Olympic corruption stories, Tony? Because I naturally. You know me, when I woke up, I had to look up the name of the French judge so that we could put it out there for everybody. What a disgrace that was. And then we love the references to Juan Antonio Samaranch and the fact that all of the bidding was always completely on the level whenever they were trying to assign Olympic sites. And so you're wondering what level of corruption was involved in getting the games in Paris this year. And then, of course, you had any number of controversies. The USSR basketball game we were talking about, 72, where they gave the ball to the Russians. I think it was like 4 or 5 straight times in the final 3 seconds of the game. They just kept giving it to them out of bounds. It was great. And
that to me stands out as the number one item that still to this day rubs me the wrong way. I mean, just thinking of it just makes me so mad that that I can't even see straight. I mean, it really does. It really, really does.
That's why I'm over that one. The Roy Jones Jr. Decision still goes down as one of the all-time. I mean, probably the worst decision in boxing history when he was robbed of the gold medal, which it was a valuable commodity. Jones made plenty of money during his career, becoming a multiple champion. But
but still, you take a gold medal away from somebody.
Yeah, I mean that was hard to witness.
I bet you, LeBron and Michael Jordan, they would trade whatever just to get another chance at gold.
I mean, that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure that I totally buy that because I believe, I don't know. Do you think it's more out of patriotism or commercialization?
Patriotism.
That these guys are so infatuated with being on the U.S. Olympic basketball team. When they, I mean, easily. I mean, if anybody could use a summer off, is it not LeBron
Yeah,
James?
basketball players, but they get to represent their country.
All right. I love that you're buying that totally, Tony. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing it. I mean, I don't know, but you have to think that some of this involves selling sneakers in Japan. No,
No, I don't think so.
am I too cynical about that? I mean, what's wrong with me?
Just a bit, just about this much.
All right, I want to get into this with you, Tony Segreto, while we're going old school. And Ed's here. Okay, good.
And for like 4 minutes.
Oh, all right. I didn't see that.
It's like
I'm
four
like filling
messages.
time here. Ed, how are you, Ed Garcia?
That's good. I missed the part about the Israeli diving team. That's going to be pretty interesting to watch. So
Yeah.
very excited.
Not much in gymnastics either, man. I mean, that was just based on the Jewish kids from Brooklyn that I grew up with, and we would panic when they broke out the apparatus. I could see you having that level of athleticism, though.
Yeah, me too.
Where you were good at this stuff.
I was a swimmer. I enjoyed doing belly flops. That was pretty much about it.
What are you looking forward to in watching the games?
You know, I'll tell you, I'm just excited that football is right around the corner.
Yes.
For us Floridians. The cooler air is coming, which that's going to be pretty exciting. I just was running some errands, so I apologize. I was a little bit late, but wow, it's so stifling. But, you know, going with the Olympics, it's, you know, I don't know. I just love any time to just cheer on some great competitiveness. It's so cool. Just these people, I mean, it's starting at such a young age with the passion, dedication, and to go out there and leave it all. I feel like it's not like sometimes watching some of the professional sports where there's just so much sponsorships and drama and all that stuff behind the wheel. I feel you're watching just really good competitiveness. So excited about that. But, you know, hey, quite honestly, I mean, September, late August, I mean, we're about 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
So just like my background says, let's light it up again and rock and roll.
Yeah. What do you think about Michigan this year?
You know, I'll tell you, it's funny. You see the ranks all over the place. I feel the defense is going to be super strong. Right now, they're saying the Buckeyes, they might be the number one defense out there, and Michigan's going to be their number 2 or number 3. Very excited. You know, game 2 is versus University of Texas, and that's going to be a telltale sign of what's going on. Very excited about, you know, we do have some depth, but very new people in the quarterback position. Orgy is that the boy can run. I think he's mobile. He's strong. I mean, that dude is built like a brick house. So, you know, versus I'd say your standard quarterback. So kind of excited to see what's going to happen there. Roman Wilson coming back for the senior year. And I think that guy, I mean, wasn't this past year, but the year before, he, you know, with Ohio State, he took those 2 big breakout runs.
Yeah.
And I feel we're going to see a lot of that coming from Roman. He's going to be a tough guy to guard out there. So it's going to be an exciting season. You know, regardless, I'm just pumped up. And, you know, the Lions and the Dolphins, I think, are going to be really good this year as well. You know, pro football is going to be very, very exciting. Excited. I'll tell you, the Lions have never seen a Super Bowl. I think this might be the one. So get your bets in early.
I love the approach, no doubt about it. What do you make of Chip Kelly becoming the offensive coordinator at Ohio State? I saw Ryan Day, an interview with him, beating his chest that all of a sudden they're going to put some points on the board. Is that enough to make a difference there in the Michigan-Ohio State matchup?
I don't know. How many jobs has Chip Kelly had so far?
More than we did in radio. I mean, we were on every station on the dial at one point.
I feel like he's had every seat in the bus, so we'll see. I mean, I wish it was maybe not that bus, but hey, you know what? At this rate, that might be good for Michigan if he's sitting on there. You know, I wish them all the best. You know, I want it to be competitive. I want every school to be successful, but at the end of the day, I want Michigan to win.
Well, that's understandable, but you know, it's going to be interesting because of the 12-team playoff. There's going to be a confluence of who's in the SEC, who's in the Big Ten, who's in the ACC. It's going to be really interesting to see how everything plays out, and if it's good for football, you know, that may not be, but we'll see. We'll see.
I think overall it's going to really favor a lot of the majority, like the big universities, the people that have the money, and you're going to see it just kind of the dollars tighten up. The bowl games have lost a lot of flavor over the last few years with the championships already. I mean, we saw that last year with Florida State and a couple of other colleges. People ever since the Jake Butt issue, I think that was Jake Butt versus Florida State.
In the Orange Bowl, and he didn't have to play. It was just an Orange Bowl, and he chose. And then in the first quarter, he got hurt to the point where he's never been the same. He was supposed to be an early first round pick, and he's never.
Yeah. He was not registered, but he was top 10. Yep. They were saying number 8, and he tore his MCL, ACL, or something. I mean, it was pretty rough. And you're right, Lubie. I mean, it's something they've talked about for years. He's like that number one example, and that was when Jabril Peppers was there. Jake Butt and Jabril tore his hammy. Michigan was picked to win, by quite a bit, and they ended up losing. But it is what it is. I think that so that's changing the game a little bit. There's still that good passion and fun out there, but let's see how the playoffs do. I think there's always going to be someone crying, regardless. It's going to be number 13. They're going to be like, we only lost 12 games. I don't understand why we didn't make it. So
we beat Rutgers. Yeah, exactly.
What are you going to Texas Roadhouse this week? What can we look forward to?
Hey, I'll tell you, Texas Roadhouse has the same plan that we always do. You're going to come in and just have a great time. But, one thing I guess I'll talk about is the community. Miramar, which is right around the corner, did a tip a firefighter last night. And I just want to give a shout out to the Miramar Fire Department. They came in, they were running food, bussing tables, filling up the ice bin, but they had a fire truck outside. They were giving all the kids tours. And it's just awesome that we can have that partnership with the community and with our first responders and support them. And very, very happy that, we were able to raise a lot of money to continue to support that as well. And it just was a great piece. And that's one of the greatest things I love about Texas Roadhouse. Scott is running that location. Each one has, an owner operator that, is just developing that relationship and just being a big part of, whether it's Coconut Creek, Miramar, Florida City, is just that, hey, we want to keep that city great and be really, really awesome partners, with everybody.
And it just seems like, you don't advertise, and that's, to me, that's big. That's really, really big.
I agree. We have a local store marketer, someone that, just, hits the streets, and I'll tell you, they don't solicit. We walk in with that fresh baked bread and some honey cinnamon butter. That opens a lot of doors right there. So, but you're right, Tony. We don't advertise. We rather take, you brought up last week, how do you keep your prices low? That's one of the reasons. My last company, we spend $10,000 a month on advertising. And that $10,000, we give that back to our guests by keeping prices really low. And I think that's a big difference. We keep the quality high, prices low, because we want to be America's favorite restaurant. We want you to be able to come out and have dinner with your family and have a great time, be free, and, walk home and not be depressed or have sticker shock or regret on that bill.
How many restaurants do you have now?
I just opened number 12, Lake Park.
Wow. Nice job.
Yep. But as a total, we're over the 750 mark, and I'll tell you, and I have my team. They're actually going to go open. I have a pretty large international training team, and they're leaving here August 1st. I want to say August 1st or August 2nd. They're going to South Korea, obviously not North Korea, to open number 8.
Wow, unbelievable. International now.
Yeah.
Garcia, always a pleasure, my friend. I can sense your excitement, and we love the infusion of enthusiasm for the college football season upcoming. And it's right around the corner here. So thanks so much for being with us, as always. Always appreciate you coming on the show.
Texas Roadhouse. Roadhouse.
Good spot, man. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we were able to make a converté out of mayo, which is almost impossible.
That's impossible.
Yes.
Impossible.
Where, you mentioned what is considered to be a chain restaurant, even though, as pointed out many times during the show, they kind of have individual operators and ownership, but they all operate under the same very high standards, which is a nice thing to see.
750.
Yeah, always packed too. Anywhere you go, Tone. Anywhere. I mean, I know you travel around when your ventures up to Vermont there and back, and traveling up and down the country, and especially when you and Joey were on the road all the time. It was great. What do you think of? One quick thought about the opening of training camp, which Lubie, I think we had the dates wrong. The first practice that's open to the public, I believe, is Monday for the Dolphins, but they officially, I think, supposedly came to camp yesterday.
Yesterday, okay. I saw something about Sunday.
I think so. I don't know. Do you remember going out there and schwitzing on the first day? What was your usual assignment there, Tony? Did you have to interview everybody? Did you grab Shula? What was going on?
Yeah. We hated training camp.
You did? Okay.
We hated it. You know, as I got older and I got more veteran, and I said, I ain't gonna do it anymore. But
so you started sending the B team out there. Nice.
But we were schwitzing and we were. I was getting Shula.
Ned Smith. You would send Ned Smith out there.
I would bring another set of clothes because I'd be.
Oh yeah, no, it was a sweatpants.
So much. It was ridiculous.
And then they would give you like a dolphin sweatshirt to wear. You know, the media. A bag there that they gave you.
You know, all kidding aside, the Dolphins have as good a chance as anybody. You know,
to win it all. You believe? Win it all. I mean, the odds are prohibitive. I know a lot of people are conceding a third straight Super Bowl championship to Kansas City, but nobody's ever done it before.
I know.
So, I mean, the odds are definitely not in their favor. And let's face it, you need a lot of luck along the way to make it to the Super Bowl.
A lot of luck.
Much less win it.
And they need a lot of
luck. What, Lubie?
They need to stay healthy. It's all about their health. You have a roster of loads of talent of guys that get hurt all the time. I mean, that's their big question. Can they stay healthy? If they can stay healthy, they were number one seed in the conference before they got hurt. The problem is the same guys get hurt every year, and Tua finally stayed healthy, but it didn't matter. You still had Jalen Phillips get hurt. You still had Chubb get hurt. You still had Armstead get hurt. The linebacking core get hurt. Howard.
Tyreek Hill wasn't 100%. He played, but
by the end of it, Otto was banged up. Like by the end of it, most of their team was gone. Look, and they still hung around with the Chiefs, even that banged up. Their problem is they have to be healthy. Okay, will they? We'll see. I mean, if they can stay healthy, I think they're as good as anyone. The problem is they don't stay healthy. So you sort of have to have that hanging over you. And at the end of the day, we saw it in the NBA and we see it in the NFL. Whatever team is healthy is a team that's going to find a way to win. And the Chiefs last year, by the end of it, were the healthiest team. And the Chiefs, by the end of it, found a way to decisively win a Super Bowl.
Plus, they had Taylor Swift.
They had Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes, which
there you go. Yeah.
But, you got the Ravens. You got
you have the Chiefs. The Bills are still hanging around. Yep.
Don't sleep on Jimmy Harbaugh, man. Don't sleep on Jim Harbaugh.
Coach. Who knows what that does?
That's a big upgrade from Brandon Staley, the guy that was, human self-sabotage. But, we're going to run, Tony. Weather's good up there, Vermont. We're in a heat wave here, and Sunday for all those global warming people, which I don't see the Republicans mentioning much about that. In fact, what was it? Trump, drill. Let's go ahead and mess with the environment some more. Hottest day in the history of the world was recorded on Sunday around the world. The average temperature wasn't as alarming as it was in some places, but it was the hottest day ever recorded worldwide. And we seem, never mind these fires and the bizarre storms and, all of the other shit that goes on, mudslides and everything that's happening. Well, why wouldn't you just go ahead and drill another hole in the ozone layer?
It was 59 degrees this morning.
Oh, beautiful, man. That's fantastic. Clear skies, because it's picturesque there. I mean, it's really postcard type of stuff when you get that kind of weather in Vermont.
It's perfect.
Little puffy clouds, all this stuff. Oh, Tony.
Clouds all over the place.
All right, we'll be thinking about you while we're out there schwitzing on the walk of life, Tony. We love you, and we'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
Talk to you. See you, Lubie.
See you.
All right. Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen. All right, kid.
All right.
I thought we did a dynamite job with our Olympic preview. We told the people nothing about the fucking games.
I don't know anything. I'm sure I'll be an expert.
I'm looking at lines here. I mean, it seems like basketball will be the prominent thing to be betting. Australia and Spain, we know nothing about either team, right? Germany and Japan, nothing.
No.
France is a big favorite over Brazil. Who was the guy at a chucker? And what was he on? Spain? or Argentina, the guy. And yeah, I think did he not end up with a cup of coffee in the NBA?
Jose Calderon.
No, this guy, and
Correa?
he was a dynamite shooter. He was a big time shooter, and I'm blanking on his name, and I don't want to look it up. And then now I'm blanking on what country he was from, but I want to say he was the one guy that outside of a United States player was talked about, and they said, "Oh, well, you better watch out for this guy," and he could carry him to a win. But we shall see. The U.S. team opens up, and I don't know what to make of the women's team. Do you? No idea, right?
I haven't seen anything.
Should they dominate the whole thing?
I think they lost the rest of the WNBA or something.
Yeah, they lost the All-Star game to the WNBA also-rans who weren't on the team. And they're favored by 19 and a hook over Japan, the women's team.
They seem to just coast.
In their opening game. The U.S. men are favored by 15 and a hook over Serbia. 15 and a hook. So Jokic and company, they're saying, has no chance in this ballgame. All right, we will see you guys tomorrow. We'll have a trivia challenge for you. And in addition to that, because of the celebration that's ongoing with the Miami Heat Summer League team, we'll have Scoop Skolnick join us as well, which is always very informative about what's going on. Plus, I would imagine Scoop has his finger on the pulse of what's happening in Dolphins training camp, Lubie.
Yeah. I mean,
which we've been dodging talking about because it seems like a premature evaluation since we haven't seen anything or heard anything yet. But, I mean, and I don't know what level of concern people have over Portua and the fact that he's getting hosed by the club. Is that the common position, or nobody seems to care, right?
People seem to agree with what the Dolphins are doing. Yeah. I just find it a weird stance when you've had such a bad track record of quarterbacks. A guy that is worst top 14, but reality is top 10. And honestly, if you put aside whatever stupid ass bias people have, he's like top 6.
He certainly fits the scenario that you're looking to, approach with your offense.
Oh, he's the perfect guy for this system. Even if there's guys that are better, they're not necessarily better for this system. Yeah. He's literally the best quarterback for this system.
Flings that thing in there. Very accurate passer for the most part on middle distance stuff.
To screw around with him just seems dumb. I know they can do franchise tags and all that, but no quarterback's happy with that. Yeah. No play, let alone quarterback. Like real franchise quarterbacks, you do not make them do that.
Brian says Hawk Tua.
Hawk Tua.
It's kind of what...
That's what they're doing, honestly.
I know what they're doing. Yeah, they're giving a big loogie in the eyeball.
Sitting in his ass. Yep.
All right, so we'll see how that emerges as a storyline through the year. And they're talking about an 18-game season, which you knew was an eventuality, and 2 preseason games, I guess, and then an 18-game season. So the NFL will be, never mind, not for long. It'll be forever.
Yeah.
With the 18-game, the 16 games was enough. 17, starts to get all. It's a weird number. Yeah,
it feels like you're only going to get more injuries.
Yeah, I don't know that I needed 18 games.
16 was fine.
As much as we like it,
but 16 is actually fine. I was
16 was a good number. I thought. I thought they had the formula right, so why not fuck it up?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We will see you guys later on. You've got a Mike Mayo lunchbox, but it's an encore performance, as Mayo likes to say.
Check us out from J&C Oyster. A lot of fun. A renowned chef, Tim Seeley, joins us. The mayor of Hollywood, Josh Levy, joins us as well. He's a really good dude, and he loves his seafood, and he loves
excellent.
So. And Caesar, their restaurateur, is a really good dude. So check out that at 1 p.m. right here.
1 p.m. And then we'll join you again tomorrow here with the Defo Show. We'll have the Trivia Challenge and Scoop Skolnick. For Mike Lubie Lewitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next time as we leave. You know that.
The time.
And, of course, thanks to the great Ed Garcia, and Tony Segreto. I wanted to give my death tribute, the obituary, to the great John Mayall, who still to this day I will never forget, leaving a concert at the Syracuse War Memorial. My friend Bill Klee and I are hitchhiking back from seeing the Turning Point album tour, which was revolutionary in the music business at the time, and fantastic. And we're hitchhiking back, and a white Chevy Impala stops, and it's pretty crowded in the car. There are like 4 guys in the car. And they say, you guys need a lift? And we get in, and it was Mayall and his band. They were leaving the arena, and they actually took the time to pick us up and drive us back to the campus. So that was pretty cool. So may he rest in peace, a revolutionary, innovative musician who really launched the careers of a lot of other greats, including the great Eric Clapton and many others as well. So may he rest in peace. All right, we're going to get out of here. From Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:12.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.